give all glory to God. This is day 38 of Spirituality with Christianity, and it says, sometimes I say to God, you know what's wrong with you? And God asks, what? And I begin to enumerate, you love too indiscriminately. You trust people way too much. You're far too forgiving, and you're entirely too patient. Having said that, I invite God to tell me what's wrong with me. But all I hear God say is, you know, honey, I really get a kick out of you. Which only proves my point I was trying to make. So to practice it, this is from Melanie Svoboda in Everyday Epiphanies. So accept that you are loved unconditionally by God and see how that understanding changes your feelings about yourself. So I started a 4-week series at the beginning of this month about what a deeper understanding of what God is and how we can use its power. So today we're going to wrap it up with the aspects of I am that I am, which was the word of Moses to God asking who I am, who he was. I started week 1 with Christ that I am, and so I'm going to go back over that in all 3 of them to guide you into where we're at today. When we talk about Christ, we're not talking about some sort of religious dogma or concept of what people think and say in mainstream Christianity about what Christ is. We are actually going into a deeper experiential, esoteric understanding of this aspect. So here's a definition. Christ is the unified field that forever extends from and towards the perfection of creation. So to me, that means the unified field is obviously a field of oneness, as Christ is a field of oneness. It's forever extending from its source and to its source, or the perfection of its creation. So think about the oneness of that. In other words, it never leaves its source. It's always with source because God is everywhere in all of us. It's a cycle. So the Christ is a cycle of perfection, extending from and returning to creation itself. So therefore, because of that oneness, the Christ within you cannot forget the source of love because it's right there all the time. But the shadow within you, our ego, that we created by turning away from love, can. So again, the Christ within you cannot forget the source of love, but your shadow side can, and it does. And that's what we might call the original separation, the idea or the concept that somehow we can turn away from God, from source, and still have what we want. Christ is the extension, as the Course in Miracles says, of the love and loveliness of God, also known as you, each and every one of you. And so we are here in our life to look upon and find Christ's face and to look upon nothing else but that. If you look at somebody else and you're not seeing Christ's face and your ego is working on judgments and so forth, catch it, change it, and practice the presence. Because every single moment, every situation, every person, we have to look upon the face of Christ, the face of holiness, and to see them as an extension of that love and loveliness that is God that lives through all of us. So repeat after me. Christ I am the Christ.
Christ I am the Christ.
Good. So then we went to part 2, light I am. We are simply here to shine our light so brightly that clarity occurs on its own. Think about that. That's one of our goals and our purposes here. And we're talking about soul clarity, the light of God within our soul, not what we might call ego clarity, which is only the idea of having what I want. It's all about the ego. Think about having a deep idea of who and what I am, what you are. And when you understand what I am, you enter into the light so completely that everything else disappears. Think about that you enter into this light and all there is this light, and all the fear and the judgments and everything else disappears. And then you start to connect to who I am. Why am I here? What am I meant to accomplish? So that's the goal of light I am. There are 4 tenets to it. The first one is this. An awake being is only effective when they can see what's really happening. You have to see and connect to what's really happening. And you cannot see what's really happening until you see it in the light, because you can't see the truth in the shadows, can you? In the ego. You have to know, you have to look at the light. And that means to realize you're in the light, and everybody that you see is in the light. And when you see that, there's nothing that can harm you, because you're connected to the light of God. The truth of I am is so holy behind any harm that could be done, other than what you allow to yourself. The second tenet is to see as God sees, which is something I've talked a lot about because it comes from the art of spiritual peacemaking, a class that I've taught here. And it's the only true soul desire that we have, which is simply to see as God sees. I've also asked you at numerous times to put yourself in the mind of God. What would God think and what would God see? Only itself, only the beloved. And when you do that, knowing requires that you know the source of light, that you see everything in the light. If I say, go back to what I said before, that it goes out and comes back, then that's all the light is, right there. The third tenet says you cannot see the light until you know the source of light. And what is the source? God is the source. God is the light in which I see and exist, because God is in everywhere, in all of me. And so in order to see out there and to see the Christ and to see the light, I must recognize that that light is already within me. Not something out there, but in me. And when I get it in me, then I see it in you because of the oneness, not separateness. The fourth tenet is true humility is the key for realizing light I am. So true humility requires that you accept today's idea because it's God's voice that tells you that. And it is true because it is the higher truth. So repeat after me. Light I am the light.
Light I am the light.
Ooh, vibrational energy. Then last Sunday we talked about the third I am statement, which is awake I am. Which means that I am now in this moment experiencing the fullness of the reality of I am. I can feel it in all of me. I'm not caught up in any more dream of separation or caught up in the shadow of the ego, but I can feel it within me. I am awake to my truth and your truth. So the question, I'm looking past the dream and I'm saying yes, which I've told you guys to do. Always say yes to God, whatever God has given to you. And the question is, will you choose to stand beside me in full readiness and commitment and perform with me the role of liberator and protector of grace? Those are some great things to say. And see that all of you can do that. You become liberators of your grace, first with yourself and with everyone you come into contact. So you see the I am that they are. You see the light they are. You see the awakeness that they are, because that's who you are. So the first stage of being awake is that you're no longer satisfied with this dream that you have in your life or anything that offers, anything the world out there wants to give you thinking that's what you want. It's time to let go of that dream. Let go of anything that separates you from God. Let go of anything that the ego offers you and says, this is what you need. You're not satisfied with that stuff anymore. Do you guys feel that? There's change going on? So the second stage of light I am is you have an overwhelming desire to share what you've received. So you feel this energy inside of you and it's like, wow, it feels so great. I want to share it with other people. And in so doing, then what happens? You become as God, which only extends the love out, which only gives the love out. Remember what I said in the beginning, it goes out, it comes back. This is how you came into your being, into your soul. This is how you create in your life all the experiences into being as God. How do you do that? By giving it away, sharing it to others. And why would you do anything else but that? It feels so good inside. I see the love that I am. I'm awake to the truth. I want other people to see this. And I want to share it with them. And it's not about going out and trying to make them get it. It's about you being who you are so that these people can see it. And they acknowledge it and they go, wow, something's going on. I like it. Where can I get that? Well, interesting enough, there's this place called Fellowship of Spirit, which you can come and get it. So, why would you want to do anything else but share what you have received? Because it feels so good. The third state is experiences of spontaneous explosions and expansions of the heart. Remember I talked about that last week, how wonderful that feels. How many of you have been walking around in your life and all of a sudden you feel that inside? Just an explosion of energy within your heart or expansion. You feel the love just expanding more for somebody that's out there or something that's going on. And it's so amazing when you feel it, you have to just stop and smile to yourself and go, wow, I am awake to that. That feels so good. What if that could happen all the time? What if all the time you walked around acknowledging that you are awake to the truth? What would you be experiencing? What would your life be like? Well, now we come to the last belief, which is I am that I am. We come to the final stage of awareness, which is the experience of this I am that I am. It is the key, the point of our souls that we manifest from the point of I am that. I am that. Compared to the ego's point, it says, I want that. Something separate outside of me, I want it. No, we already know I am that, whatever it is. In other words, what I want is something I don't have, according to the ego. And if I could somehow have it, if I could claim it, or take it away from somebody, or draw it into my life, I would somehow be different. How much time have we spent looking at, well, I'll wait till I get a house, or a better job, or a better relationship, or more money, or this or all that, and then I'll be okay. No, you won't. It's all about claiming it right now and allowing all the other stuff to come to you. But being I am that I am, all of the world, I am that's God in me. And it goes out and it comes back and it's these explosions of my heart. How wonderful it is. It is an opportunity to allow my awareness to come into a full experience of who I am right now. Whom I cannot stop being that I was from the beginning, which is this light of God shining through me. Nothing can take me away from that unless I allow it. Because I am the creator of my life. There's no sin according to the outside world. There's no dis-ease. There's nothing in my body, my personality, nothing in my life that can change the fact that I am that I am. So think about that, beloveds, that you just take that in, and that's who you are every moment of the day. And manifest your life from that place. I am that I am. Just as an example, I've talked to you about James Twyman here before, who's a supporter of our church, a teacher and an author out in the world. When he had started or shared this course called The Art of Spiritual Peacemaking. They were daily lessons back in 2002, which I took it. And then he wrote it in a book. And he got the whole community to support him, and he made up a chart of said, Art of Spiritual Pacemaking, this is it. I am that I am. And what I want this book to do is get the first place in the top of the books, whatever the category was, by the end of today. And so he got us all to do the same thing. So we're all joining in with him, and we're going, I am that I am. And this book is, that book is a part. Jim's a part of it. It's a part of him. And he would check in every now and then, and the book was down here, and it'd rise up here, and it'd rise up here. And we just kept holding the place, I am that I am. And by the end of the day, guess what? Number one on the list. Because it's all one. It's manifesting your life from the place of soul consciousness. Each time that we hear this message, we have to recognize ourselves for what we've achieved so far. What have we accomplished in our life? So that we can look and say, what is it that I want more of in my life? And when we do that, we get to acknowledge ourselves for being awake enough to receive what God has given to us. We wake up to accepting and embodying that I am consciousness. So that we can stand up and step forward and realize that we are an enlightened being. That's an important thing to know. We already are enlightened. It's not something that we need to read more books. We have to go to more classes, any of that. We already are here. We're just waking up to the truth and remembering the truth of who we are. And it doesn't matter if I feel like I'm in one place and somebody else is in another place. It doesn't matter, because in truth we're all in the same place. We're all connected to God. Any sort of I'm here and you're there is separation. That's the ego. That's not about I am. I am looks at others people as it knows the truth of who they are, because you know the truth of who you are. And so as we embody each of these, light I am, awake I am, Christ I am, which all lead us to the point that says, therefore, I am that I am. Now, I want to share something from the art of spiritual peacemaking where this comes from, and then we're going into a chant about this and embody it even more deeply. So I want to share with you lesson day 41. And it says, at this point in our journey, quote, can you be certain that I am in you, working as you? Can you be certain that I am in you, working as you? End of quote. So what does that mean? To me, it's the certainty of our I am consciousness. In fact, I would say it's the benchmark of the I am consciousness is certainty. Like I said, knowing, being certain about your truth, that God is in you. There's no question about it. There's no hesitation. You are certain about it because you've come to the point of realization where you know there is only that. And it says, can you be certain that I am in you? That's a strong word for us to have. I am certain that God is in me. God is walking beside me, inside of me. I am that I am. So the statement continues, quote, this statement says to the world that you will not accept your littleness any longer because it's not appropriate for the perfect extension of God's love. This is what you are, to realize yourself as anything but perfect. We are already perfect. There's a lot of people I know when I say this and I go, oh, I'm not perfect. I still do sin. I still make mistakes. That doesn't stop us from being perfect in the light of God, does it? No, because we are the oneness with God. It's only our own ego that sets that up. So to me, this sentence describes beautifully by saying that it's not appropriate for the extension of God's love, which is known as you. You came from God, you have God within you. It's not appropriate for any of you to realize you as anything but perfect. Is it? No. And our goal, again, we could look and say it's not to be perfect, but to be consistent. But it's consistent in that perfection that we are. So how do these two statements align together? Well, we could be talking about two different ideas of perfection. The first one, which is being expressed here in this lesson, is the understanding and the realization that you are perfect just as you were created. There's nothing wrong about you other than thoughts that you have, which is your ego. There is nothing you need to do to be perfect. There's nothing you need to do to change that which you are already, but for you to simply understand it and take it on and be it. And then we'll know that we're seeking consistency. Something may happen. We understand that in our humanness life. We may get angry at somebody. A negative thought may come up. But we got to be aware that we're seeking the perfection that's already there. We're practicing the presence of God that's already there. So that's important. To be consistent. To realize that no matter what, you're still perfect. I'll say it again and again, as God created you. So let me continue on. It says, quote, it means that your eyes bless everything they see, for you look upon all reality in forgiveness and love, giving them the gift that you have the courage to receive. I'm writing an article for the INTA magazine, and it's about seeing. And there was a quote in it I thought earlier today when I was thinking about it, that I want to change that. I want to get a different quote. And then I read this. It means that your eyes bless everything they see. And I'm like, well, that's a good quote. Thank you, God. Gave me something right here. Anyway, it means you look upon all reality with forgiveness and love through the eyes of Christ, through the I am consciousness. You give other people the gift that you've received so they can receive it and give it back. You have the courage to say yes to it. You have come to a place because of your courage where you're able to extend out who you are. And let's continue with it. It says, quote, most of all, it means that you accept that you are an enlightened being already sent to this world to awaken other sleeping minds to the love that is their inheritance. Have you seen yourself as that position? As an enlightened being helping other people? Does that ring true for you? Take it in, think about it. Maybe for some of you it's a bit of a stretch, but I encourage you to realize that these moments of full I am clarity, what is being described here, is the truth. That is why you came. It's been your mission. It's been my mission, which Jesus said, and now it's yours. Are you finally willing to accept and live this? I am. How about you? Want to say yes? So be certain today that this is true. Find ways to express this certainty, for as always, it's giving in the gift that you fully realize and receive it, and know the truth that you are loved deeply by God. To be certain that you are loved by God. How does that feel inside? To know that God loves you, which is what I started this whole talk off with. So you found your home in the peace that passeth all understanding, and it's yours. So it's time to know, beloveds, that you've claimed it. It is now true. I am that I am, because I really fully realize that we are the same. My gift to you is the one that I received, and I'm sharing it with you. I am that I am. So this is the wisdom that I claim today, and I will let it move through everything that I do and everything that I see. Just hold that thought, I am that I am, with everything that I do today and every day. And it means to be alive. For without this, I can only seem to be alive, but I'm not fully expressing that love that God is in me. So, how about if we say, I will wait no longer, I will claim it today, and state after me. We'll do this 3 times. I am that I am. And just close your eyes and feel the energy of it and claim it in. I am that I am. And once more, I am that I am. So, you are the Christ, you are awake, you are the light, and you are that you are. I am that I am. So watch your life grow from that and expand out, and know that you're giving it to other people and other people will give it back to you. So namaste. Any questions or comments?